All right, how's everybody doing today? This is the Mike Nelson Show. I'm here with a very special guest. I'm here with Sean Peck. How you doing today, Sean?
Very special guest. I like when I'm introduced like that. Great, man. I'm just driving here in my Nissan Rogue, which is the Star Wars version. When they released Rogue One, they put out a Star Wars version of this, and I'm driving in a Star Wars car. It doesn't get more nerdy than that.
Are you a big Star Wars fan?
I'm not even a huge, I mean, I like Star Wars, but I'm not even. They said, "Oh, we got an all-wheel drive one down here. Come down to the lot." And I went down and checked it out, and it was the Star Wars one, and it looked super cool, and it had like the premium sound system. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take the Star Wars model. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, so start off, I like to start off the interviews asking my guests. So how did it all start off for you? How did you become a singer? Why did you decide to get into music? How did that all start out for you?
Man, I was kind of a late bloomer into metal. I didn't get into metal till like late junior year in high school. Like all my friends were already kind of into it. I was into like Blondie, Flock of Seagulls, The Cars, Duran Duran, all that kind of 80s new wave stuff. And I still like that stuff because, there's a good song is a good song, hooks, good melodies. And then I went on vacation down to California, and it was the song "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll" off Diary of a Madman
Yeah.
Ozzy album. Like something about that song just like grabbed me. And then it was like, oh, well, check out the Scorpions Blackout album. And I'm like, okay. Then I went back up. I was living in Alaska at the time, and all my metalhead friends in Alaska like, dude, check out this Judas Priest album. And then it was like, forget about it. I was a metal freak from then on. And I was just like, way too much work to learn how to play guitar. I go, I'll just be a singer. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of go like that. Maybe I was always class clown making funny voices and shit. And then I was running around, my room, jumping off the bed, air guitaring and screaming to, the Defenders of the Faith Judas Priest album. And I'm like, well, I can kind of sound like this. Maybe I could be a singer. And then when I came down to San Diego for college, there was like a little band that didn't have a singer, and I grabbed the mic and started fucking around. And they're like, "Do you want to sing for our band?" I'm like, "Maybe." The funny thing about that first band I was in, called Tax Evasion, was that we played all these like cover songs like Louie Louie and Beatles and shit for all these fraternity parties, but we were playing in front of like literally thousands of people.
Wow.
Because these parties were just packed. So like early on in my career, I was playing some humongous shows, even though I kind of sucked as a singer. Then I got into an original band and like learned what it was to write songs and be in a metal band. And I just, I really liked performing, and now here we are. Fuck.
All right. So how was life in Alaska? You say you lived in Alaska. That must have been tough, right?
No, dude, living in Alaska was amazing. I lived there from I was born in San Diego, and then like third grade through high school was in Alaska, and it was killer. It was just like, going to high school up there was just, weed was legal back then.
Yeah.
Drinking age was 18. It was just raging parties from hell all through high school, and I wouldn't trade that for any high school experience in the world. It was amazing. I wouldn't, we're actually working on going up there to play a show right now. So
Wow.
I might be returning to go actually play some metal up there, which is, it's kind of cool. So yeah, it was fantastic. And then of course all the fishing and all that shit was just, I could tell fishing stories on a whole hour of fishing stories. So it was great.
How did a Cage start off? How did your band start off, Cage?
Well, I was in a band called Nomad, which I wish I would have kept that band name. I love that band name. Like, god damn, we should have just kept that name.
Yeah.
But I was in that band, and they were kind of friends with another band called Crusher, kind of friendly competition. And both those bands kind of broke up at the same time. And then the remnants of those two bands formed Cage. It was 1992. We wanted to be kind of like Fight, we still wanted to have the singing, but a little heavier.
Yeah.
And that was at a time when, metal was dead as hell. Like, nobody wanted to hear. It was all grunge, and we didn't give a fuck. We just kept playing metal, and it really worked out great because um, there were still the remnants of the '80s were still going on. Like, bands like Great White were still playing pretty big places, and that was our first national act opening, and it was like 1,000 people or more because it was like the 1994 ish. And we were the only only metal band left. So anytime those bands came through, we were like the only opener available. And then we worked the scene really hard. So we got to open for Priest, open for Maiden, open for Scorpions, like every band you can think of. Early on in our career, we got to open for all of them, even though we weren't really that good back then. And it really helped us become a great live act, because even if your songs aren't that good, you got to entertain. So we learned how to be, performers on stage and not get, if you're opening up for Iron Maiden, dude, you better have your act together. You'll get booed off the stage,
Yeah.
So it really helped early on, make us good live performers by playing all those big shows early on in our career.
How was the San Diego metal scene in the 90s? Was there a metal scene
Oh,
there?
yeah, it was killer. I was one of the leaders of the scene because I was booking all the acts. I had a connection with these promoters where they would ask me to book all the openers, and then we worked it so hard. We were able to sell like 100 tickets a show. So these agents wanted us to open for everything because they knew that we were going to move tickets, and that's all they really cared about. And all the bands in San Diego hated us because we got every gig, man, for a long time. They're like, fucking Cage again, like, but that was just because we worked our ass off and we earned it. And then eventually, the quality of the music and songs caught up with our live performance. And that's when we started getting some attention in Europe and going over there and playing and getting record deals and stuff.
So that first record that was released in 98, was that a European label that you guys got signed on, or was it an American label?
No, it was a European label. And that was a funny story. We recorded the record and had a big party, and we had a booth at the Comic-Con in San Diego. And then the guy that had all the record connections, we just dropped a bunch. You had to spend a lot of money to make a record back then. That was the days of 2-inch tape and, recording studios and shit.
Yeah.
And we had a big falling out like the night of the CD release party, and the guy's like, "Fuck you." So I was left with this record and like didn't know what to do with it. Like, oh fuck, I got this killer record. What do I do with it now? So I just started calling everybody and sending it out to everywhere I could. And then we got a call one day like, "Hello, Sean. Yeah, congratulations. You are on the Rock Hard magazine best newcomer CD." And I'm like, who the hell is this? And Rock Hard is a huge magazine out there, and we were like the opening song called "Shoot to Kill." They have a contest every year, best new band,
Yeah.
and we were the first song, and then we actually won the contest, and then somebody, unbeknownst to us, entered us in the contest. We won the whole contest, like 1,000 bands, and then we got to go out there and play the Dynamo Festival with Metallica, and like it was an insane lineup that year. It was incredible. And then because of that notoriety, we had a few record label offers. We went with like the smaller label because we wouldn't get lost in the shuffle, and that worked out pretty well. And we did some touring, and then got a really good buzz in Europe, because the next album after that was Astrology, and that album was like light years beyond the first album. It was just like, whoa, it sounded like it was 5 albums in a band. Then the third album was Darker Than Black, and that was like Massacre Records said, we've never spent this much promoting a record besides the King Diamond album. And there were, you know, that got album of the year award after album of the year award. Then we followed that up with Hell Destroyer, which was even more highly acclaimed. So we just kept like upping the ante, man. And the only thing that really, you know, the reason like we didn't really break is if we would have toured back then like heavy, we probably would have been, you know, something really significant by now, because we had a huge buzz. And um every time we played live, it was, you know, fantastic. But we had our own, you know, careers we were building at the time outside of music, and we didn't really have any the touring connections back then that we have now. That would have been, you know, if I could have done something different, I would have really gone after the live touring in Europe back then. But it's okay, man. We're in a good spot now, and we're having fun. We have had a lot of success.
How was it like for Cage, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, playing when like new metal was like taking off? You know how like the whole Limp Bizkit, all that kind of band. How was it like being, you know, basically an outsider among all those bands?
Well, that was the thing about the first album. It was so old school that like all these closet old school metalheads that had nothing new to really listen to, like that album came out and it was like word of mouth wildfire, dude. These distributors were sending me envelopes full of cash in the mail, like for like we need more CDs, and I
Yeah.
was just like, it was insane because it was such an old school heavy metal album that all the, you know, it really, the buzz, you know, was insane on it, just because it's like when Hammerfall came on the scene back then. They're like, whoa, listen to this old school heavy metal band. And it was very similar situation. Um, so you know, that's what I, you know, when people say, do you have any advice, I'm like, dude, stick to your guns. Fuck whatever trend is going on, forget about it, man. You know, play what's in your heart. And that's what we did. We were wearing leather and studs back then, when, you know, full on flannel fucking shirt land. And we didn't give a fuck. We were screaming heavy metal, and it really worked to our advantage. Like I said, that's how we got all those incredible opportunities to play with all of our heroes. You know, oh, we played with Dio like 3 times,
Yeah.
because everybody else was trying to sound like fucking Tool or, you know, Soundgarden or some shit, and we were sounding like Judas Priest on steroids.
Let's fast forward to Denver Sherman. How did that collab happen?
Denner Sherman was, I saw, you know, I just saw something like Hank Sherman and Michael Denner are going to do an album. And so I Facebook messaged Hank Sherman. I don't think I ever talked to him before, and said, hey, man, I'm a singer. You know, I would really love to sing on a song, just out of the blue. Big fan, blah, blah, blah. And then Hank messaged me and said, yeah, that's cool. You know, when we get farther down the line, I'll hit you back. And I was just like, fucking holy shit, Hank Sherman got back to me. I was all fanboyed out, like, I can't believe it. And then a few months went by and he's like, hey, do you still want to do a song? And I'm like, fuck yeah. So he sent me a song, which ended up being the song called War Witch off the EP. Really, you know, painkiller-ish. And then he goes, wait, here's another one that Dave Mustaine was going to do before things got weird.
Yeah.
Is what he wrote.
Yeah.
And so that one was the lead single off the EP, Satan's Tomb. And I immediately had that chorus hook in my mind. And I took like a song idea from the Hell Destroyer story. So
Yeah.
I implemented some Cage mythos into
Wow.
the infected the Mercyful Fate world with my story. So it's kind of like took place in between the end of Hell Destroyer and the Hell Destroyer versus Metal Devil song of Supremacy of Steel that we had, and called Satan's Tomb. And I recorded a chorus and just sent it to him right away, like within, I think the next day I sent it to him. And I was just holding my breath, going, fuck, I hope he likes it. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then the next thing he sent me, I was like, hey, do you want to just do the whole EP and we'll just fail all these other singers? I'm like, yes, I want to do the whole EP. I will do the whole thing. Fuck everybody else. And so Hank and I started writing, and, you know, he would send me shit and I'd send him shit the next day, like boom. And he really liked that I was just like heavy productivity, quick, response. Hank reworks things a million times. You'll have it done, and then he'll send you fucking 10 more versions of it. Like, dude, it was good like 10 times back. Like, stop. But we ended up being like an insane writing team together. Like, I was perfect for him. Like, I don't know what he's got going on right now, but based on that new Mercyful Fate song that I heard, it's maybe King Diamond should have me ghostwrite the album for him,
Basically.
because people love, people, even though I was a different singer and I wasn't King Diamond, the vibe of those two records we did with Denner Sherman was
Yeah.
undoubtedly captured the magic, and everybody knew it. And but
Hey.
even though some people were like, we fucking hate the singer, like he's so horrible, and other people, there were some people that like the music and don't like King Diamond's voice. So there was some people that were like, oh fuck yeah, I dig this because I love Mercyful Fate, but I can't. Some people just can't handle the King Diamond thing. You know, but yeah, dude, it's just a shame because Hank and I could have been an insane writing duo moving forward.
What's your favorite Merciful Fate album?
Um, Probably Melissa, I'm sure.
You think that's the best one for you?
Yeah, that's the best one. That's what Denner says too.
That's his favorite one, huh?
Denner says Melissa, and then our Masters of Evil album, and then he puts Don't Break the Oath third.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I think Melissa's probably like the best one. I think it definitely influenced so many bands, after, and it's definitely an amazing album. Let's go to fast forward to Death Dealer. How did that collab happen? And what's your thoughts on what you're doing right now with that group?
Death Dealer. Well, so I did a couple songs with Stu Marshall, the guitar player out of Australia. He had a thing called Empires of Eden, bunch of songs, bunch of different singers. And as during that process, super cool dude. We became like killer friends, over Skype and shit. And I think I'd done 2 songs for him at that time. And then he's like, dude, I knew he wanted to do a band with me because we wrote so good together and we clicked. And but I was like, nah, dude, I got Cage. Like, I don't need any other bands and shit. And he's like, one day he hits me. He's like, mate, we got to make a band called Death Dealer. And I'm like, dude, that name has got to be taken. He's like, no, mate, there's a band out of Canada and they ain't doing shit. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, that's a cool name. And then we were drinking on Skype that night. And we're like, if you could have anybody, if we made an all-star band, who would you get? And we're like, okay, bass player. Who's a bass player that anybody even gives a fuck about? And then we're like, well, we were just with Mike Davis and he's in Halford and Lizzie Borden. And we're like, that's fucking cool. Let's hit him up. So like literally while we're drinking on Skype, I'm messaging you like, hey dude, we're doing a band, do you want to be in it? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And they're like, oh fuck, okay, we got a bass player. Literally like messaged people on Facebook while we were fucking joking about making a band together. Then I hit it like, what guitar player? Let's see, KK Downing. And then Stu goes, what about Ross the Boss? Because Stu's a huge Manowar fan. And I go, well, I fucking messaged Ross back and forth all the fucking time on bullshit. So I messaged Ross. Well, first we did the drummer. We got Rhino, who was the drummer of Manowar. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then we messaged Ross and we go, hey, we got Mike Davis from Lizzie Borden and Halford. And then we got Rhino, ex Manowar guy on drums. And Ross goes, I'm in. So literally within like 40 minutes, we had an internet band put together. So me and Stu were laughing. We're like, oh, fuck, we got to write some songs now. And we put an insane album together in like literally a month. It came together super quick. And everybody recorded it. And next thing you know, so then we were stoked on it. We had everybody fly out to California. We did a Mexico show and like 3 other shows out here. And then like a little while later, we had an opportunity to open for this thing called the Metal All Stars. And we did like a 10-date arena tour, like
Wow.
launched straight to the arena. It was insane. And it just, the chemistry was killer. It clicked. And then Stu and I and Ross just kept making records and writing songs. So we have 3 full albums. We released an EP a little while ago just for the fuck of it, of which we took 4 songs up. So we have 3 albums out. The 4th album's already done. The 5th album is pretty much done. And we had so many songs, we took 4 from the 5th album to make an EP. So we have Death Dealer songs coming out our fucking ass. And the next Death Dealer album we're really stoked on though, because it's super good. I don't, and I'm not the guy. I never go like, oh, it's the best album we've ever done. I'm always the opposite. Like, I don't know, man. Like, is it as good as blank? But this album, Stu is out of his mind about it. And we've been sitting on it for like 2 fucking years now, done. So we're really excited about the new album, and that's going to come out next year. And it's a fucking ass kicker. A lot of thrashy shit. Thing about Death Dealer kind of cool is it's like there's thrashy songs from hell. There's classic heavy metal tracks. There's power metal tracks, and then there's we had a really gnarly ballad on the last album that like was every review talked about. No, they never talk about the ballad on metal albums. They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, and that ballad got like was one of the best songs in every review that we had. So all kinds of different shit, and me and Stu write a lot of stuff. So there's Death Dealer as far as the eye can see is what I'm trying to tell you.
I really like the new EP, a fuel injected suicide machine. Was that written during COVID?
Yeah, like I said, we had the 4th album totally done, which is the next one to come out, and then we kept writing songs. So we had like 20 songs for the 5th album. It's just stupid how many these are recorded too, like done. A lot of bands talk that shit, like, oh, we got 40 songs. Like, dude, these are like finished recording material. And the management goes, let's do an EP while we're waiting. And I'm not really big fan of EPs, but I'm like, fuck, I've never done one. Fuck it. And so we were able to take like 4 killer tracks off album 5 and just but they're all those tracks are awesome on that EP. Just a taste test of the quality of stuff we've been writing, and the reviews of the EP have been fantastic.
What are your thoughts on today's music scene?
Well, I'm super horrified with the whole Spotify streaming thing. I mean, someone just posted a thing like, oh, the new Blind Guardian album's out today, and I posted like, oh, I think I'll just listen to it for free on Spotify. It's just like, you're especially me owning, a small record label. It's like all the money and time and effort that goes into making this product, and then the day it comes out, you just give it away for free to everybody, and it's just like makes no sense to me. That's why our business model has been we release the songs that are on the videos free on Spotify, and then if you want to hear the album, you got to buy it. Like that EP, that Death Dealer EP, you cannot listen to on YouTube. It's nowhere. Like you can get one song. If you want to hear the rest of the songs, you got to put down your money and buy the thing. And luckily, metal fans like to buy the shit and they like to collect it and they like to own it. But yeah, the way that these streaming services hijacked fucking music is just fucked. And so it's all about live performance and touring. And now you saw Anthrax just canceled their European tour because it's cost prohibitive. If Anthrax can't make it work, how is anybody else going to make it work? So it's yeah, I'm recalibrating everything about the music business right now. Like, thank God I don't rely on it for a living, because it's harder to succeed in the music business than if you want to be a lawyer, a brain surgeon, or an undersea welder. Those are far easier uh, career paths to choose than being a original musician and making a living at it is impossible. I mean, you can look at a lot of big bands and they're not rich, and a lot of them have real jobs.
So do you think like if you're a young musician out there, do you think it's harder to make like a living now or make, any a solid, like if you want to be a musician full time, you think it's almost impossible now then?
I mean, you might be able to pay your bills. You're not gonna fucking get, it's 1 in 10,000. I was just talking to this chick that was a finalist on um America's Got Talent, and she got offered a big deal by Sony and shit, and she's having a hard time
Yeah.
figuring it out. If those people can't fucking make it, yeah, if you're a young musician, you're in a metal band, and you're just like gung ho. The best way to do it is like seriously go out on the road and grind it. Like I'm talking 250 to 300 shows a year. Like pick a territory. Either you're going to do Europe or grind out North America, and until you can start getting a collected fan base and you can get people buying your shit, and you got to be really smart on digital marketing, and then it takes money too. I've been down the road, man. I've been down the tech road, and you need to be able to devote a lot of time to it. And that time on the road, the label, when we Death Dealer, the album was out, and we were talking to labels, and they were just like, we love the album, it's incredible, but you guys are old, and we want bands that are willing to sleep in the van. Like that's what they said, and we're like, well, we're not sleeping in the van. We're up past the sleeping in the van stage. But if you're young, man, and you want to do it, you got to get out there and literally, sleep on the floor, sleep in the van, and grind it for, like, I'm talking, go 10 years straight, 300 shows a year. And then if you have not made it by then, you still have time to get another career going and not end up being a 50-year-old bum that has no skills.
Any new bands in terms of rock or metal that we should check out? Maybe we haven't heard of that you know of.
Yeah, there's a band called Toxicull, let's see, Toxicull, Toxicull, from Portugal. I just did a song with them, actually. It came out really cool. And they're like a really cool old school speed metal band. And they're good friends now because I just did a song with them. And that's kind of cool how the internet is, man. I hit them up like, hey, dude, fucking dig your new album, awesome. And they're like, hey, you want to do a song? I'm like, fuck. There's a video. It's called "I Will Rock Again." So they're really cool. And then my buddy in the band Them. If people don't know about that band, it's a real King Diamond kind of thing. He plays like a character. That's a really cool band to check out. So Them and Toxico, definitely you should check out.
All right.
But I don't know if you saw, Michael Denner's interview, because there is rumblings of a new thing with me and Denner and Pete Black.
Wow.
Cool.
All right.
From King Diamond. So we actually have some songs.
Wow.
And
I guess a Mike Nelson show a reveal right here.
Yeah. Well, the King Diamond fans, when they hear these songs, are gonna shit. And then the other two members, I can't say who they are, but if this comes together, will be a mind blower for all Mercyful Fate, Denner Sherman, King Diamond fans.
Awesome. Very cool. I want to thank you again for coming on the show, Sean. It was great talking to you, talking metal, talking your career. Thanks for coming on.
Right on. Thanks for having me, everybody. CageHeavyMetal.com or SteelCartel.com. Hit us up, buy a vinyl, support heavy metal. Peace out.
All right. Stay metal, everybody.
Peace.